Hi everyone, welcome to Difference Frames the World, a channel to see the world differently. Please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you will not miss our videos uploaded every week. Today, we discuss the sudden death of the Iranian president and whether it will affect its internal affairs and international relations. On May 19, a helicopter carrying Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi and his foreign minister, Hossein Amirabdollahian, and several other high-rank officials crashed in northwestern Iran amid a dense fog. 9 people on board all died within minutes after the crash. Earlier, Iranian media said the helicopter experienced a hard landing and emphasized that search and rescue operations had been launched. Thousands of people were summoned to find the helicopter, and according to the latest news, on the morning of May 20, the helicopter had fallen apart into a pile of debris. It's been a day of disaster for Iran, with the loss of top officials like the president and foreign minister dealing a huge blow to the country. Considering the current chaos in the Middle East and the shaky relationship between Iran and Israel, many may assume that Israel should have done something with it. We hardly think so. Based on the information made public so far, it is least likely that Israel was responsible for the tragedy. Instead, bad weather and mechanical issues might have led to the incident. When the incident occurred, the western part of Iran was experiencing bad weather and dense fog, which made the trip inappropriate. The helicopter in which Iranian President Raisi traveled was not equipped with terrain-following radar, and the mountainous terrain of western Iran is very complex. Flying in bad weather and complex terrain conditions was risky, and the possibility of an accident cannot be overestimated. Moreover, the necessity of Israeli assassinating the Iranian president is minimal. Iran did not blame any party for its president's unexpected death, which clearly showed the incident was due to bad weather and mechanical issues. Considering the tension between Israel and Iran, it would trigger a conflict if Israel had been involved. Moreover, Israel has more important things to do than murder the Iranian president. President Raisi was not Iran's top leader, so his death will not severely affect Iran. According to the Iranian constitution, if the president cannot perform his duties or passes away, the first vice president will take over his job, and an election is held within 50 days to find the country a new president. Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei has temporarily appointed first vice president Mohammad Mokber to assume the presidency. The presidential election will be held on June 28, 2024. In the long run, the influence of Raisi's death on the future of the Iranian political scene cannot be ignored. He had been regarded as Iran's next supreme religious leader after Ali Khamenei, who is already 85 years old. In Iran, the president is the head of the executive system, controlling administrative matters, while the supreme leader has the highest authority over the country's political, military, and judicial institutions. Despite the accidental death of the Iranian president, the supreme leader can still control the overall situation, and Iran's domestic political stability will not be affected too much. President Raisi was a hardliner and particularly tough with the United States and Israel. Since 2022, conservative and hardline forces within the Iranian government have gradually gained the upper hand. Especially after the parliamentary elections in March 2024, conservatives and hardliners won and have taken control of both the governmental and parliamentary platforms in Iranian politics, making them stronger unprecedentedly. However, the accidental death of President Raisi broke the consensus on the successor to the supreme leader, which all parties in Iran previously accepted. The conservative and hardline camps can hardly find a suitable replacement in the short term. Iran's moderates and reformers will take the opportunity to re-establish their political prestige. The political tug-of-war between the various parties in Iran is likely to become more intense. Maintaining domestic political stability remains an urgent task. However, the conservatives occupy 3/4 of the seats in the parliament, and the new president will also be selected from the conservatives, so Iran will continue to be tough with the US and Israel. Iran's foreign policy will remain the same, so the tension in the Middle East will not change shortly. The Iranian nuclear issue remains a sensitive topic, and it is not easy to achieve a breakthrough. Since the United States exerted extreme pressure on Iran in 2018, the Iranian nuclear issue has gone through many rounds of negotiations, but no progress has been made. Although the international community has been helping to mediate the conflict between Iran and the United States, there are deep differences between the parties in the supervision of Iran's nuclear facilities, the lifting of the sanctions list, Iran's missile technology and regional influence, and the conflict persists. According to an Iranian official's accusation, President Raisi's death was largely due to a technical issue with the helicopter, which was allegedly made in the U.S. several decades ago. Because of America's sanctions, Iran cannot get the necessary parts and routine maintenance to keep the helicopter working properly. Among 3 helicopters, only President Raisi's aircraft crashed, but Iran did not point fingers at any party, merely claiming it to be an incident. Based on the up-to-date information, the helicopter was not attacked before the hard landing. Some media outlets in the West believe that after Raisi's death, Iran may gradually change its stance and establish a pro-West government, which we do not agree with. The deceased Iranian president was not a deciding factor. After becoming president in 2021, he did not make radical policies or statements. He maintained close communication with other relevant parties and even made some concessions, hoping to degrade the contradictions and mitigate the risks. After his death, it is not difficult to predict what will happen to the Iranian nuclear issue and related policies. No matter who succeeds him as the new Iranian president after the election, the supreme leader will decide where Iran is heading. The current Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which broke out in October 2023, is likely to continue for a long time. The complex and multilateral international and regional situation can hardly improve shortly. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has not made any achievements in the Middle East. Despite the strong opposition of the U.S. and Israeli governments, the ICC insists on arresting the Israeli Prime Minister for his war crime. No one, including Israel, is listening to the U.S., and Washington's influence in this area is diminishing quickly. We do not think Iran will side with the United States after President Raisi's sudden death. In April 2024, Iran and Israel attacked each other, making the situation in the Middle East more complicated. Although Iran and Israel have exercised some restraint and the conflict has not spread further, the direction of the situation after the unexpected change in Iran's executive leadership remains variable. Even if the succeeding Iranian president is not as hardline as Raisi, he can hardly improve the relations between Iran, Israel, and the U.S. At present, Israel is still in the Gaza Strip's continued military operations, disregarding the opposition of the world. Israel is fighting with Iraq and Lebanon's military groups, and the Red Sea crisis is still ongoing as the US and the UK cannot deal with the Houthis as expected. Against this backdrop, the Iranian government after Raisi will likely aggravate and stimulate regional tensions if it fails to exercise rational restraint. It is improbable for the new leader to side with the US when everyone sees Washington's diminishing influence in the Middle East. Overall, the accidental death of Iranian President Raisi, despite some uncertainties, will not stimulate a full-scale escalation of the regional situation, nor will it significantly contribute to its domestic political turmoil. Iran's new leadership will maintain close relations with Moscow and Beijing, as President Raisi did to counteract America's pressure. Without Russia and China's support, Iran will have more difficulties facing sanctions from the West. Revenue from selling crude oil to China is a lifeline for the Iranian and Russian economies nowadays, when the West's sanctions prohibit major oil buyers from paying US dollars to Moscow and Tehran. According to a Reuters report in October 2023, China saved nearly $10 billion by purchasing crude oil from sanctioned countries such as Iran and Russia from January to September of 2023. China bought 89% of Iran's crude oil in February 2024 with RMB, not US dollars, which tightly binds Beijing and Tehran. As we exposed in previous videos, the US and some of its allies attacked Iraq 20 years ago for selling crude oil in euros, not US dollars, but the same will not be valid with Iran. With Russia and China at its back, Iran is more secure staying farther away from the US instead of approaching. The US needs more wars to make more money worldwide, so it will not allow Iran to develop good relations with neighboring countries. That is why it became so upset when Iran and Saudi Arabia resumed diplomatic relations with Beijing's help in 2023. Iran knows the US has only one friend in the Middle East, Israel, which it cannot get along well with for various reasons. As a result, Iran will not become America's friend in the foreseeable future. It is noteworthy that in the past several years, many leaders against the US died unexpectedly, like 2 assassinated Iranian generals. Although we do not believe Israel or America caused President Raisi's accidental death, many conspiracists still insist someone is behind the unexpected crash. Anyway, the tragedy has occurred, and nothing can be done to remedy Iran's loss. May President Raisi and all others on the helicopter rest in peace.